For this drawing, you need half a piece of cartridge paper. So I've just folded one in half. Don't cut it in half though, just leave it in half. We're going to need our 18-inch ruler, and we're going to tape our paper. The top of my page is right at the top of the screen here, and the bottom is down here. You can see where my fingers are. That's the 12 inches, and this is 18 inches. Luckily, we have an 18-inch ruler. I want to put our eye level on. I'm going to use a colored pencil for that. We're coming down about 3.5 inches from the top of our page, and draw that right across. And we're going to be using a 45-degree perspective. Divide your paper in half. Now it's not exactly 18 inches, so you know now that you just have to angle your ruler. I'm lining up my 1st inch and my 18-inch, and if I divide that in half by find 9, I'll know exactly where the middle of my paper is. So again, that valuable thing, if you have two absolutely parallel lines, you angle your ruler to something that you can divide, and then you divide up in half. Okay, so that's our single vanishing point. We're only going to use that by itself to draw something. We're going to draw a display, and we're going to use that to draw the display. But the objects we put in the display, we're going to draw them at 2-point perspective. Let's indicate our left vanishing point as far over on the page as you can on the left, and our right vanishing point as far over as you can go on the other side. Let's put our display case in. We'll go 2.5 inches on this side, 2.5 inches from the other side, and we'll draw straight up. I'm using a pen. If you want to use a pencil first, that will be okay, but it's good to get in the practice of using a pen. So we have 13 inches, approximately 13 inches, maybe a little less. And this is going to go up 10.5. That's the front of our display. 2.5 inches up is going to begin the window that we're going to see our items in. Now we've got our single vanishing point, as you recall, and this part is being done in 1-point perspective, and it's in the middle of our page. The reason why we wanted to do it this way is because we want to have a 45-degree perspective. When we do our 2-point, we're going to have a 45-degree perspective, because that's a gentle perspective, and it makes everything a little bit easier for us in finding the single vanishing point. If I'm using my vanishing point now to find out how much smaller the back of the box is going to look in relation to the front, where that's closer to us. I don't know where to stop them yet, so I'm making them long. That's the best way to go. We need 3 inches in order to display our items. So we need 3 inches of depth. This is where our product's going to sit. So we're going to put that in. Now, I just have to bring these corners in to that 3 inches. Bring this corner in to that 3 inches. And I'm using my vanishing point all the way. And where they collide, where the perspective lines collide with my horizontal line, I now need to go straight up. And I draw these two across. They should be working out exactly. They're not. So just kind of find something in between the two. As I say, I have to be about an arm's length away from this and not get my big fat head in the way. So mine are a little off. Something that you can be doing, if I know this is 3 inches up from this line, for example, I can put a couple of dots, and not just rely on the one, and have a much better chance of keeping everything straight. I think where I went off was this line. It's a little bit off. So it can be something that small that can go a little off on you, and it'll throw everything off. Okay, so now we have our cabinet. We've got this front part that would be made out of maybe metal and wood and that sort of thing. Something dressy and lovely. We have this back piece which is going to hold and carry a design that you're going to design. And now we'll begin to draw our product, and we're going to draw little suitcases for children. One is a backpack and one is a roller model. So we're going to do both of those things. We're going to have them in 2-point perspective. So we're going to start our first one about 1 inch up from this line. I'm just going to put this in a little weightier so I'm using the right one. So we're going to start about 1 inch up here. And the front corner is about 3 inches in from the edge. So we're looking at a point like this. And I did a little thumbnail beforehand. That's what I'm working from to show you what to do. So I'm not just pulling these out of my head. I actually worked it out ahead of time to save some time. And now I'm using my vanishing points, my 2 vanishing points. You see, 1 and 2 point perspective exist well together. What can't be done in this drawing is 3 point perspective, because that would mean that you're either very much above or very much below what you're looking at, and we're not. We have our eye level is situated, so we know where we are. So that's the front corner of the backpack. That's what we're going to do first. We'll do the backpack here, and then we'll do the little roller case over here, the bigger. It's taller and bigger. This is now our backpack. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide. We'll just put 3/4 of an inch, walk it up, and that's 3/4 of an inch wide. As you see, there's space now between where I mapped that point and the side of the cabinet that these are sitting in. Okay, so that's the base now, and we'll go over 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches, bring that up, and that will be the depth of it. So now I just bring that up, trying to keep things straight as best you can. We're going to bring that up 3 inches on this part that's closer to us. Probably a little under 3 inches, but we'll go 3 inches to make it easier. And we have to bring this corner up. Now verticals remain straight because they're the same distance from us throughout their whole length. It's only when something turns away, like this side, that we need to use a vanishing point. So we're going to form our backpack out of this little box. And I want you to start thinking already of how you're going to design this, the motif that will go on the front. Now these are they're hard. They're like a carapace at the front. So I'm going to do the obvious thing. Mine are going to be ladybugs. You can choose whatever you want to do, but only one person can do that topic though. So as soon as you know, you'll need to tell me so that I can write it down and it will belong to you. About 1 inch away from that furthest corner back, we begin our luggage, our large rolling luggage. And trying to keep things straight. We don't know how long the line's going to be, so we make it too long. That's the best idea. And I'm also not going to line it directly up with that corner, just with a very light line. I'm just going to show you. If I continue that line, that doesn't give me very much room for width. So I can't do that. What I need to do, because this is much wider than that, but I don't want them too close together and I don't want them overlapping, because we want to add some more things in here to give it a whole atmosphere. So I'm going to go up a little bit here, not lining it up with that, but go a little bit more further away. So if I were to measure along this line, it would probably be about 1/4 of an inch distant along this line. So hit this line and then add 1/4 of an inch, and that will give me the beginning of the front of my rolling luggage. I'm going to start the corner as close to here as I can go. So I'm going to start it about there. And I'm trying to keep this all straight. I don't know how tall I'm going to make it, so I just put anything in for now. Too tall is okay. It looks about 2.5 inches. So I don't have nearly enough. So I need to go back a little bit. Sorry about that, but it was hard for me to tell. So I need 2.5. There's 2.5. So this is where our corner is going to be, because we're getting very close to the front here. So we'll just make a little adjustment. And when you have to make an adjustment, just make the line a little darker, and that will carry it. So not a problem. We went 1/4 of an inch. We go 1/4 of an inch back from this final corner here. And then we pick a point where we want this to stop. We used our vanishing point to draw that line for the bottom. And then we needed 2.5 inches width across here. And that makes it significantly bigger than this. And it's also quite deep. So when we do the depth, we've got all the front established, so that's going to make things easier. And then when we go back, it's really quite a bit deeper than you would think. It's about 1 3/8. 1 3/8 inches. Don't worry if it's not filling up your whole space, because as I mentioned, we're going to do other things. So I'm going to put mine in false grass. I'm going to have grass, maybe some flowers, and I need at least 4 inches and 3/4 for the height. And that'll make it significantly larger than the little backpack. And you use your vanishing points. Now we're getting very close to the eye level, so we're not seeing as much of the top of this as we are of that. Okay, now this corner tells us we need to turn around and go the other way. And it's very important, always important, to know what the hidden parts, the part on the other side, looks like. We need to see that base point, that base, the part underneath. And don't forget that we changed that measurement. So we've got to use this one, the furthest one, the one that we darkened. That's it. Now we'll hold our breath and see if these corners line up in a reasonable way. It's not bad. So it's a good idea to be able to wield your ruler like this without having a parallel rule as support, but just being able to do it by eye, try to get straight lines. Now, on the back of this, there's that lovely handle that the kids get to play with, pull their luggage along with. To situate it, to get it in the middle of this, we need to make an X from corner to corner. If you twirl your pencil as you draw a line like this, it will stay sharp longer. Okay, so there's the center. Now, we have to choose where we want this to go. So, say I know I want it to begin there. I want to have a certain amount of space for the shoulder of my luggage. So, I'll take this. I'll try it. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'll try it. So I'll take this up here, and I'm going to make a box. Use different color. That may make it easier. So I've chosen a distance from the shoulder to where I think this handle is going to go, this extendable handle. So now I bring that up, and what I'm going to do is make a box that's going to go over my X. And that box is going to help me locate the other side. So there's a point I'm looking for. Now, I have to take this back with my vanishing point. And that will give me where the other side of the handle will appear. You have to work with symmetry all the time. And if that's my center, this is going to help me achieve that. I'm going to just bring those up. And again, you're doing your best to eyeball straight. I'm going to bring it up. Now, this is the back. And I'd like to overlap that so that it makes it more obvious that this is in front of that. So, and this we need, now we're above eye level, so we've got to have it angling down. So we use our left vanishing point for that. So now we have a positioning for our handle, we have our backpack in, we've got our roller case in, we need wheels. Whenever you're not sure of what a measurement is and if it's important, put it on a piece of paper and it'll help you to, so it's 5/8 of an inch. So I need 5/8, so I gotta be 3/8. I'm not used to using a ruler. I usually eyeball everything, but that wouldn't be fair to you. So I'm trying to make this a little easier. So now I'm going to just place a line where the body of the case ends and the wheels begin. They have to swivel. So they fit into a little box on the corner here. And I don't have a lot of room for them, but they shouldn't stick out very much. That's about as far as I can go here. What I'm going to do is bring this back to the back. And now, where this width crossed this perspective line, I took this width back to my vanishing point, my right vanishing point. Now, all I have to do is extend this line and I'll see that this now is how far this leg should stand out. On the other side, it's going to be less because it's further away. So I'll just take a little bit. I just know to make it less. And it goes from the side. So we're going to just make a little box there. So draw that up. Where this black line meets my orange line, I'm going to draw that up. And draw this one up. So even the simplest thing has its little details and quirks, so you have to be prepared. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Now we're not going to see the far one, and then we have to choose a height for them. This one is less distorted. This one we're kind of looking right over top of it, so I'm going to judge by that one. And they're round, so I've got to choose a box that would give me a circle. So now that I have that height, I can bring that along this way. And that'll give me the height for this one. So there's the one for the knit's quite distorted, but we'll manage. We'll add a little bit more to the inside maybe. And now to transfer this height, I have to transfer this height over to over here. So now I've got the little square there. This not so square here, but this is square because it's less distorted. So I've got my legs, not my feet now. That joins up with this, and it swivels, so it's got kind of a little arc here to show that it swivels. And it should come inside a little bit. Let's bring it inside a little bit. That's better. Now it'll have more of a... And it also has thickness, so... Oh, that's why that didn't work. I made a little mistake here. This is how tall that should have been. So there's thickness. Now we've got thickness. So put double line here. Add a little to the back to make the top. Or if you made the same mistake I did first time around, just use it for your thickness. That's looking better now that we've got us more rounded. We can make more of a circle in there. So this you have to come back this way to make the... top of the wheel. There, now we've got our placement for our little wheels. We have to put some of the top on this one. So you're always thinking that what's a top plane, what's a side plane, because when we go to render it we'll want to put some shadows on. Okay, the backpack we don't have to worry, it's fine. It's going to have probably a little handle at the top though, so we should get that sorted. Now this does as well, so we'll put that on, and we've got a perfect placement for it now. We can do that easily. We just have to put our center part, take that to the vanishing point, the center, that very center, and it's on that line that we'll put our... I'm going to use where that handle came and my center line that I just drew, and that's going to be the beginning of the arc for my handle. And this has a handle too, but it's kind of fun. It has a couple of roundedness there and a little bit of roundness there, and it comes down, and this has to be taken to a vanishing point. So you have to, every little thing you have to consider. This is not as wide as that because it's further away, and this is above eye level, so we're going to see the underside. Okay, and then put some thickness on our handle, because I'm sure the kids will not be gentle with this. So it's very sturdy. It's got that plastic carapace, this sort of luggage. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I've seen children with it and they really beat the japers out of it. So they've It has to be built to last. This we're going to put a strap on the top. So there's our X again, always so helpful, our X there, and use our vanishing point. So I'm going to choose now how wide my handle's going to be. Take this back over here using my right vanishing point. So you never ever stop using those vanishing points. You have to always be consulting them. Now this is a better way to show you what I did up there. That was hard to see. But you see, if we were building our handles, it's these two lines where they cross my X, these two lines, that if I bring them back, that would have given me the placement for my handle. So it's a little clearer and easier to see here. But we're not doing that this time. We're just putting our handle on, not the one that's used to pull anything, just one that's used to pick it up and carry it round. So where it touches here and where it touches here, that's going to give me my, it's a good idea to put up a vertical from the middle. That'll help me to keep it straight, and I'm going to start a little bit over there so that I get some thickness. And I got my vertical there, and I'll go over there, and then this side I'm going to see, but the other side I can't see. It's going to be hidden. If we are putting some lighting on this, it's probably from above and there'd be shadow underneath. But it's so more interesting to actually put some a little bit to the side. It's going to be from above and in front and from the side. So let's pick a point over here for where the light is hitting the surface. So this isn't the light itself, it's the surface that the light is hitting, and it's probably the strongest beam of light that's hitting it here. So we have to go now through each of our corners of our backpack that's sitting on the ground. So I'm projecting that point through my corners. And this is going to go, it's right in alignment with this, so it's going to go like that. Yours may be different, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. This is important. I think it lines up with the back. This now is the shadow for this line, and this is the shadow for this line, and this is the shadow for that line. If this is this line, I have to make a guess at how long I want to make it, given foreshortening and all of the rest. So I'm going to choose that. And now I need this line, and I drew that using the left vanishing point. So when I make its shadow, I have to use the left vanishing point. Now if I were to follow all the way through, this line and that line would meet. This may get a little confusing if I put it all in, but you'll see. So now this is the shadow for this is the shadow for that, and this is the shadow for that. Now I need that line's shadow, and I used the right vanishing point to draw it, and it began on this corner. So, or it could have. So I know that this now is the shadow for that corner. So I can use my right vanishing point to link that up. And what it's given me is a shadow right here. It will also show me that this whole side is lit up. The light is seeing closer to that side. This side will be a middle value. This could possibly be a shadow value. Let's see. I'm going to take the corner of this box, not the extended legs. I'm going to take that box. It's the easiest thing to see, and it will give us the mass of shadow. for the whole box. So not the legs, not the outer part where the little feet are. It's going to be this initial box that we had. So I'm going to go through this front corner and go across just like I did the last one. And I'm going to go from that corner, not the wheel, but the corner of the box. So this now is the shadow for that whole height of that box. And this now is the shadow for that line. I need the shadow for this line. It's going to hit the glass and then it's going to go up just a little bit. And this is going to hit the glass and go up. And you can see that on any wall, that when a shadow hits the wall, it goes straight up. We need the shadow for this line. But this is interesting. We've cast the shadow on a 1-point perspective wall. So we need to use that 1-point perspective vanishing point, even though that wasn't how we drew that line at all on the box. It was not. We didn't draw it that way. But because it's on a 1-point plane, it has to use that vanishing point. So there we go. And then now this part at the back, we need that too. Now, see, this is shadow. This is the shadow for this side of the case. So that means that this part of the box is in shadow, which is good. It'll be interesting. So now we're going to take the hidden part, the part at the back. So you have to project all 4 corners. Now, eventually, why we do this in the first place is so that eventually you don't have to. You just instinctively know, okay, if the light's there, then that's what the shadow's going to look like. Now this is interesting too, because this is the shadow for that, and the line that we're looking for now, and this is the shadow for that. Now we're looking for this line, and we drew that using the left vanishing point. But because it's 2 is on a 1-point plane, we can't use that. We've got to use the 1-point vanishing point. So this is going to make, believe it or not, a straight line. That's going to go like that. And we don't have a shadow over this side. You see, if I project that point, it comes inside the form. So it's not going to give me any shadow that I can use. That's how that shadow is going to look. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, no. We could be as complicated as to put a shadow for the handle. Normally, I wouldn't bother. I would just let this taper off to nothing, but for curiosity's sake, we have to bring that all the way down to the floor, our 2 sides of our handle, and bring it out. And bring it out. It too, at this point where it touches the floor, it too has to go straight up. And what you'll notice, fingers crossed, is that it's on the right plane. It's going to be on the correct side in terms of shadow. So here it is again. These 2 points are where the handle, when we brought it down and we projected it using where the light is hitting the surface, we projected it across and there it is. And now to do the top handle, we have to use this vanishing point as well, because it's now on a 1-point perspective plane. So this got very interesting. And when you draw the shape of the handle, maybe we'll keep that. That looks quite interesting. You have to do this as well. And you have to keep watching. Don't let it get too crooked. If you get excited, sometimes you forget. Okay, so that's it. There's our handle. There's our... And it's rounded though, but you can just put it in straight is usually a good idea first, and then you can round it out. So that's why we're using our boxes for everything. It's much easier. And then this has this. I think I made that too thick. There. And this is interesting. It goes up because it's, now see, it goes up because it's on a 1-point plane. This is going to hit here, and then it's going to go straight across because it's a 1-point perspective. So that's interesting. And now we can do our little feet, our little legs, our little wheels. They come across, they're going to have a little shadow, and then they go, that would go, this is the shadow for that. Now we need the shadow for that, so we use this vanishing point. So you see, it's all very logical, and that's a nice thing about this. So now we've got a little addition to our shadow. And actually, this is interesting because that could mean, let's see. What we could end up having is a bit of a delay for a shadow, but I think that's too complicated. Let's just leave that. We'll start the shadow not right underneath it, but a little bit back. I think that would be nice. So we're going to start our shadow there. And we'll put our leg, our little foot, our little, what should we call it, our little wheel shadow in here. There, that'll be nice. Yeah. Okay, so what does this shadow look like? There's the shadow from the wheel. We've decided not to go right at the front of the case. We're going to delay our shadow so that our little feet, our little wheel, is going to elevate this. This will show that it's elevated by the little wheels. And then over here, it's going to be shadow all underneath. And it's going to be shadow up to this line, which was made from here. And then there's this shadow that was made from here because this was made that way. And that's a shadow for that. And these are all behaving in 2-point because they're on, they're not projected onto the 1-point wall. The 1-point wall changes everything, as you saw. Now this, I'm going to just maybe make this darker, and this came over. This is nice too. It doesn't, I don't know how yours will turn out. No matter what you're doing, if you're following along like this, the chances of yours being identical to mine are very, very slim. So you may have more space here, for example. You may have, hopefully not less, because I didn't really count on that very well, did I? But as I say, I was following a little thumbnail and making rash decisions on that, on our scale, which is a skill you want to develop, being able to eyeball proportions, and it takes a lot of time, but it comes with practice. You just have to, as with everything, you just have to keep practicing and practicing. So I've got a nice shadow over there. And this is our shadow for our handle up here. And this whole side is in shadow. It's a good practice laying down a wash. You don't go in big swoopy strokes. You do a little bit at a time. Just the way when you're filling in with marker, you just keep going back and back over it until you get something flat. With the marker, you're wetting the paper. With this, you're filling in the tooth of the paper, kind of gradually. It's fun to start letting a gradual value change happen so that you make it a little darker at the top and then lighter at the bottom, because the light from the surface is bouncing up. Even though there's shadow here, there's light here and it'll bounce up. You can play that up a little bit. Now you've got lighter against darker, and that helps to set the whole thing up. Now, in terms of the little wheels, this would be in shadow. All of this, actually, because it's in the shadow side, but this will get light, probably the top of that, because the light is from above, as you remember. This will have shadow underneath it. So it's always good to throw a little bit of shadow. And it helps to make it stand out too, because the color of the case will be getting lighter at the bottom, so you've got light against dark. That's the best way to plan your values. For the handle, it has a side plane, so we should put a little shadow on the side of here, and a little bit on the side of that. Maybe some on the underside. This one is in the light, so we won't worry about that.